In today's video, we're going to take a dive into the story Hercules by Disney. I have always been fascinated with Greek mythology, and Disney's Hercules is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. Arguably, I think it's one of the most underrated movies out there. Probably second to Mulan though, which is going to be my all-time favorite Disney movie. But without further ado, let's go straight into Disney's iteration of Hercules' story. On top of Mount Olympus, Zeus and his wife were announcing the birth of their son, Hercules. The lord of the underworld, Hades, is also invited but is not at all pleased with the birth of Hades. The three fates appear to Hades when he returns to the underworld and tell him that if he releases the Titans, whom Zeus had imprisoned, in 18 years when the planets will align, he will dethrone Zeus and take control of the universe. It's possible that Hercules will be able to thwart him. The servants of Hades, Pain and Panic, will make Hercules mortal and kill him. Using a potion, the two manage to capture Hercules and transport him to Earth. Hercules drinks most of the liquid, but there is one left over after a childless couple thwarts the two minions' plan. Although they feel that keeping Hercules on Earth as a mortal will prevent him from meddling with Hades' future plan, they decide to inform Hades about Hercules' passing. Hercules is almost wholly mortal, hence he is unable to return to Mount Olympus. He was adopted by the childless couple, nonetheless, and is now being raised as their own. Due to his superhuman strength, Hercules, who is not entirely mortal, is despised by society. As the boy approaches adolescence, his father recounts how they came across him with a medallion bearing the god's emblem. Hercules heads for the temple of Zeus in search of knowledge. A massive statue of Zeus that is already alive when Hercules enters the temple starts to terrify him before revealing that he is the boy's father and explaining how. Zeus goes on to say that if Hercules is successful on becoming a true hero, he will be permitted to return to Mount Olympus and be reunited with them. Zeus then hands Hercules a horse with wings called Pegasus and tells him to go in search of Philoctetes. Hercules and Pegasus find Philoctetes, also referred to as Phil, on a desolate island. After growing older and becoming a grumpy satyr, Phil initially rejects but ultimately caves. After an intense training program, Hercules changes from a skinny teen to a muscular young man. Hercules suggests that Phil put his newfound knowledge to the test by visiting Thebes, a city plagued by numerous disasters and problems, with Phil, Hercules, and Pegasus. Meg deviates them en route because she appears to be in danger from a centaur. Hercules becomes a little enchanted with her before Phil steers them back into Thebes. After they go, Meg interacts with Hades and his assistants, Pain and Panic. Meg claims that Hercules interfered with her efforts to get the centaur to side with Hades. After discovering that his helpers had lied to him, Hades becomes furious and abducts them. Pain and Panic convince Hades that even though Hercules is mortal, they are still capable of killing him. Hercules seeks to convince the inhabitants of Thebes that he is a hero, but no one is willing to accept him as such. Meg shows up out of nowhere and tells that two little boys are trapped in a nearby gorge under a boulder. Hercules saves the little boys who are actually pain and panic in disguise, and then vanquishes the three-headed monster known as the Hydra. After realizing that removing one head resulted to the production of three more, Hercules ultimately brings the beast under control with a rock slide. After Hercules defeats the Hydra, the people of Thebes laud him as a hero, further infuriating Hades. Hercules continues to face creatures from Hades, but he always overcomes them, earning the public's respect as a hero. Hercules feels that his fame will allow him to return to Mount Olympus, as his sculptures and other artifacts bearing his likeness will soon appear all over the place. Zeus, however, explains to Hercules that fame is not the same as bravery when he arrives back at the temple of Zeus. When Hercules inquires as to what he can accomplish, Zeus declines to elaborate. The conversation enrages Hercules, who begins to doubt his capacity for valor when he gets back to Thebes. He is at home when Meg arrives, and he persuades him to go with her for a nighttime meeting. Meg first has the intention of finding Hercules' weak spot, but as the evening goes on, she finds herself warming to him. The peace is broken when Phil and Pegasus show up to take Hercules home. After being hit by a tree during the flight away, Phil eventually crashes off Pegasus. While he awakens, Meg and Hades are talking, and it sounds like Meg has been two-timing Hercules. Hades believes that Meg is Hercules' vulnerability because she outright rejects his plan and maintains that he is invulnerable. When they return to Thebes Stadium, Phil tries to convince Hercules of what he saw, but Hercules lashes out angrily at Phil. Phil stands up and leaves her after becoming upset by his protege's rage. After Phil has left, Hades appears and offers Hercules a choice. If he forgoes using his abilities for a day, Hades will release Meg, with a proviso that the deal will be void if she sustains any harm. Hercules learns that Hades has hired Meg after he has agreed to the deal. Hercules can only watch as Hades sets the Titans free after Zeus had imprisoned them for a long time because he had lost all his power. A giant Cyclops sent by Hades attacks Thebes. Despite being fully worn out, Hercules continues to attempt to stop the beast. Meg and Pegasus locate Phil and they convince him to return and aid his student out of the concern that he would be killed. With Phil's help and a little cunning, Hercules is able to blind and kill the Cyclops, but Meg sustains serious injuries in the process. When her wound causes Hades to break their deal, Hercules regains his strength. Phil keeps an eye on Meg as Hercules and Pegasus fly to Mount Olympus, where the Titans are on the verge of defeating Zeus and the other gods. Hercules successfully changes the course of battle and vanquishes the Titans as Hades fiercely flees to the underworld. When Hercules returns to Thebes, Phil reveals that Meg has died. This infuriates Hercules, who enters the underworld to find her. Hercules makes a deal with Hades whereby he will stand in for Meg in exchange for saving her from the river of death. Hades accepts the deal knowing that Hercules will die before he can save her. When Hercules finally reaches Meg, he suddenly starts to glow yellow and transforms into a deity for risking his life to save her. Hercules initially appears to be about to pass away. Hercules is able to rescue Meg from the watery grave despite Hades' yelling and protestations, some of which cause Hercules to toss Hades into the river of death, where the dead attempt to drown him. Now that he has earned the title of true hero, the gods are eager to have Hercules return to Mount Olympus. But Hercules chooses to stay on Earth so he can continue to see his family. One of the gods transforms Hercules into a constellation in the sky as the film comes to a close, making Phil swell with pride over having trained a legend and a god. So there are many reasons why I think this is one of the best animated films that Disney made. Given that this is an adaptation for an actual Greek mythology, that's a plus to me. Although there are a lot of changes and reiterations that are completely different from the true story of Hades. I think I have made a video about that. You can watch that on the description below. I've always been fascinated with Greek culture. I think my first time encountering it was because of this movie. And then when I got into high school, I studied more about it because English literature was a part of our educational system. So, of course, we know about William Shakespeare and his works, and Homer's Odyssey, and everything else. So it talks a lot about the Greek mythology, and that's where I got my fascination from. I admire the Greek gods and goddesses because they are not entirely different and unreachable compared to other gods in other religions. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have this belief system that I do believe in Greek gods and goddesses, but I do have a fascination for them. For the reason that, again, they are relatable. So they are gods that are still subjected to emotions, and they can still be reasoned out with. And basically, they are beings that have emotions, that are subjected to emotions, and they are imperfect. And this is, I think, why I like Greek mythology. Although a lot of the stories are very sad and tragic, some are romantic, some are funny, but yeah, most of them are very tragic. There is still a great deal of art and elegance behind this, the myths or the culture. So that was the story of Hades, according to Disney. I'm very excited to learn more about Greek mythology and impart what I have learned to you guys. I hope that you have enjoyed the video and the short story of Hercules' story according to Disney's reiteration. That's it for the video today, and I hope you have a great day.